Okay, let me show you what's going on here. So the page load time, if you go to it, let's go in incognito mode, and you load it, and you hit enter, so let's count in our heads. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. So right about 3 to 4 seconds, so that's not bad. Now again, this goes back to if you look at GTmetrix, it takes 13.7 seconds to load. Obviously that's not true because I just showed it to you. That's not true. Let's do it again just to be, so you know I'm not making it up. So let's do this. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. So it's a little over 3 seconds. Now it still is a little clunkier than I like though. It's definitely not as quick as if you did that. It's not as snappy. Now, let me show you what me and Fahad talked about. So I see probably, well, okay, so originally it was coming in at 30 seconds. I got it down to quote unquote 30 seconds, right? Obviously it wasn't taking 30 seconds, right? Obviously it was taking closer to like 8 seconds to load. Now it's down to about 3 or 4. But so you can see, according to this synthetic test, it went from 30 to 13. So that's good. That's progress. However, the average web page on the internet is about 3 megs. You're at 4.3, right? So here's your problem, is if you look at the waterfall chart, see here it reports your page load time is 10 seconds, which we clearly know is not true. And we'll get into more detail. I'll get into more detail at a later time about why these scores don't really matter. It's all about load time. Well, just briefly, let me just show you. So if you look at so on YSlow, you're getting a 66. But if you go here, for example, it's showing you're getting dinged here for your YSlow score here because it wants you to add expires headers to googleapis.com, Google Analytics.com. You can't configure any type of caching stuff for external resources that aren't part of your your website's domain. These are all external resources, so there's nothing you can do about it. So you're getting dinged here for things that are out of your control. So you could get a 0 and a 0, but your web page speed loading time could be good, even though that's not really realistic, but hopefully you get the idea. So continuing on, you may not want to use a content delivery network, or you may be using it and it's not being detected properly. So if you are not using it and you don't want to, you're getting dinged for it, even though you may intentionally may not be wanting to use one. Using cookie-free domains, you're using cookies. All websites use cookies. So unless you don't want to use cookies, your score up here is being hurt. This is why these scores don't matter. So if you want to research this further, you can just do why Google page speed scores don't matter. This is a really good post on it. Read this. There's all kinds of people that know what they're doing that try to explain to people why those scores are largely useless. So back to the result. So I got this by just basically installing WP Rocket and turning on what's called lazyload, which I'll show you what that means. So if we go to So WP Rocket does some basic caching, but your hosting provider also does it as well. So I don't know if it really did much of anything. But if you go to your website and you load it, and you can see everything here loading. So these are all the things that are loading on your website. So this is an image here, a PNG, a GIF image, some CSS, some JavaScript, etc., etc., etc. So this is everything that's loaded. All these things are the things that are loaded on your web page, right? Now, as you scroll down, watch over here. You'll see things continue to load. As I scroll down, as you get new images, see that GIF loaded, that GIF image? See, like SVG, that image loaded? There's also some non-lazy load stuff, but it'll make sense. See these images? As you load images here, as you scroll down to them, they're starting to load over here. So this is what's called lazy load. See how they're continuing to load as you scroll down? See, all this stuff's loading. So what that does, what this means is the images on your web page are not going to load until somebody scrolls down to see them, right? A better example is if you go to this blog that I run and you go to inspect, because this doesn't have a lot of custom code on it, so this will make it a lot clearer. This is everything on the page. And watch as I scroll down. See, these images are loading. See, JP, PNG, PNG. So this is called lazy load. So why this makes the web page at least gives a higher perceived load time is all those images that are slowing the web page loads, the web site load time down. Those images are not being loaded until the user scrolls down to them. So I installed that. That fixed some things. We also did some tweaking with some of the WP Rocket settings. Now, WP Rocket is a premium plugin. However, let me do this. WP Rocket, WP Engine. Let me show you this. You're on WP Engine. Whoops. If you go to WPEngine.com and look at WP Rocket, the only caching performance plugin they actually allow is WP Rocket. So if you want to do any of this stuff, you're going to have to buy this plugin. I think it's like $50 per year or something like that. Right there. So 49 bucks a year. I highly recommend it. We only went through a couple of the settings. We can do more, but this is where you like defer JavaScript, and we haven't really gone through all of them yet because there's other things I think are going to make much more of a difference. We did try deferring the JavaScript, but it broke a lot of things, which generally is a sign there's a lot of custom code, which is never really that good because a lot of this one-off custom CSS stuff tends to break optimization things. So you want to get away from that as much as possible. You generally don't want to implement a lot of custom CSS unless you really, really have to. Like you want to take advantage of the themes options. You don't want to that's the beauty of themes in WordPress. You don't have to manually code stuff. So anything you want to get away from as much manual coding as possible. So we're not going to be able to take advantage of some of these optimizations because it looks like it broke things. Now we could get more into detail on this, and we will. But so saying all of that, and this is where the lazy load's configured here, right? So and there's a few other things we could do here, but saying all that, you can look at your website. Actually, let me pause this real quick. Look, I just ran a web page test on my blog. It's just a baseline, not really a baseline, but it's just something to compare to. So this is the waterfall chart for your website. And I'll explain all this. See, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, about 3.5 pages of files. Mine here is about 1 page of files. So the less you load, obviously, the quicker things are going to be. Like the less of this stuff you load, the quicker things are going to be. And that's what you want, these short little lines. You don't want things to take a long time to load. So back to yours. All this stuff's loading really quick. Zoom in a little bit. So this is, some CSS. So this is this CSS file, right? So if we go here and copy it, go to a new tab, open it, you can actually see, well, I don't know why that didn't work. Did I make a typo somewhere? Huh. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it was dynamic and it, deleted itself or something. Anyway, it's kind of irrelevant. You can kind of see these are the things that are loading and how long they're taking to load. So out of curiosity, let's just do this one too. So this cascading style sheet, this file here, which has a lot of stuff in it, took about where was it? Right here, 0.1 seconds to load. So these short little lines are good. All these short little, all this stuff taking under 0.1 second, under 0.2. This is all really, really good short lines. Look how good all this looks. JavaScript, JavaScript, JavaScript. Good, good, good. Here's where the problem comes in. You're loading these images. Now, generally, when you see these long loading times, it's because these images are really big. However, a lot of your images aren't big. I think it's just because you have too many of them. Because you want your images to be under 300K if at all possible, generally under 100K. Most of your images are smaller. Like this PNG here, it's only 100K, but that doesn't mean we can't open it here So this is an image video thumbnail, so we're going to call it video2png. We're going to go to image compressor, and we're going to upload it. And let's see if we can get squeeze some. Okay, that's already optimized. That's disappointing. I thought it would optimize a little more. So that one can't be optimized any further. So let's go down. Look at this one. See, this is weird. Something this long generally is bigger than 92K. So let's do this. So it's called image 10 PNG. I'm going to image compressor it. Okay, so these are actually already compressed. Interesting. So I think, but there are, so these are all optimized pretty good, but they're taking a long time to load, which is very, very strange. This one here is 420K. So it could be just because so many of them are loading at the same time, it's causing it to get weirded out. Let me try this real quick. I very seriously doubt this one is optimized. Because this one's 400K, this one's real big. This will probably go down probably 60%, I would think. 0%. Okay. Well, even though you can't compress them that way, you still can take them. PNG is a very big, it's a very heavy image file container. So what you want to do, you want to resize it to the image it's being displayed as. So right now it's 1800 by 1064. This is probably being displayed at something like 500 by 280. So you want to resize it to that. But let's say it is being displayed in this format. So right now it's 420K. So if you can convert it from PNG to JPG, so this, JPG, save it, and then you bring up this quality slider here. You can change the quality of it. Generally, you can get everything down to about 50% quality, a lot of times even lower. So 40 looks good to me, and the quality looks pretty much the same, and you have it down to 100K from 400K. So we're decreasing the size about 75%. So what you want to do for all of these PNG files, since the only thing that should be PNG, the only things that should be loading on your web page that are PNG are transparent PNGs. None of these need to be PNG files. So what we need to do, we need to convert all of these PNGs to JPGs one by one, and we need to go through all of these one by one, 35K, even though they're not big, which is very strange, and just make sure these are optimized as much as possible. Because we want to bring the size of your web page here, 4.3 meg, we want to bring that under 3 meg and see what that does to the load time. I think we can speed it up by about 30% more, and there's still other things we can do, but this is going to be the biggest piece of it. I don't understand why they're all of a sudden, they take so long, all of these all of a sudden just start taking a long time to load. Now the other thing you could do is we could try removing some of these images. Or videos, and seeing if that speeds things up. The other thing is you have these fonts. Generally, as I understand it, all fonts should come as in WAF2 format. These are coming in TTF format. So a font file, generally, you can see here, it's 22K. That's what a font file should be. So if you go here, see if I can do this. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. So hoping I can open this. Okay. Well, basically, it's just a text file, right? There's a bunch of gibberish in it. So that's what a font file should be. It's real small, like 22K. However, these font files you have here are in TTF format. I don't know. Fahad said it might have something to do with Safari or something, and he might be right. I'm not sure about that. I generally do everything in WAF2 format. But even if this is the case, look how big these are. a 220K font file, right? So that's not good. So the other thing would be you want to convert all these to WAF2 if possible, or like there's no reason to load to Open Sans here is being loaded TTF, and I think you're loading Open Sans here again using WAF2. So why is it being loaded twice? So I think those are the big things: is these images we need to get to, and I want either way. There's a problem with these fonts. First of all, I wouldn't be using TTF. Even if you are, you shouldn't be loading Open Sans twice unless there's something I totally don't understand. And here's an image down here. I don't know if that's the one we looked at. Oh, that's only 93K, but it's still taking a long time to load. And we could totally optimize this. So he wanted me to give this to you and give you my recommendations. And he told me for you to give this to your developers. Then after they have a chance to do everything, me and him will get back together on Friday and go over all this. So hopefully you found this useful. Let me make sure I'm not leaving anything out. Yeah, so we can change image dimensions and then optimize fonts. Yeah, so that program I'm using for the thing, it's called paint.net. The program I'm using for the image quality, with the quality slider. So for JPGs, I use paint.net. It allows me to bring the quality slider up, but the quality slider doesn't work for PNGs. So for the PNGs, I use imagecompressor.com. So hopefully this makes sense. I'm going to send this to you, and I'll wait to hear back from you. I might extend the order request since I'm going to this isn't something I can do right away. I'm going to have to go back and forth a little bit, but hopefully this makes sense. See you.